Hi, and welcome to your quick and easy yoga flow for stiff bodies. We're going to get started right away by lying onto the mat, coming onto our backs. So let's lower ourselves down. And from here, we're going to come into a supine butterfly pose. So let the soles of the feet stay together, but allow the knees to drop out. And we'll start by dropping into our yoga practice just by taking the left hand to heart center and the right hand to the low belly. Taking just a minute here to connect ourselves with our bodies and the earth and get ready to practice. This practice will be a short one today. I will offer lots of modifications if you need to make things a little more accessible or different for your body. There's no hurt in doing that. Props are amazing, but you can also do this whole practice without props as well. First couple of moments here to steady the breath and just to find ourselves and feel, what are we feeling today? Are our hips stiff? Our knees? Maybe we're just feeling a little bit tired or sluggish. We just need some movement in our body to wake ourselves up. On the next inhale, you can go ahead and bring the knees together. Roll yourself onto your side, and we'll go ahead and come up into a seated position. Right at the center of your mat, we'll come into a nice easy seat. Let's have the left shin in front of our right as we start out here. And center yourself, feel so that we're not shifting between the left and the right side. We're sitting nice and even on the sit bones. And from here, we're going to start with a few twists just to wake up the spine and get things moving. So let's take the left hand to the outside of the right knee, twist and look over, maybe past the right shoulder. Doesn't need to be too deep to start off the practice here. Then let's switch, exhale over towards the left as we start to encounter that turn towards the left. Inhale, come out. As you come through center, we'll exhale, take the twist over to the right. Maybe we're starting to deepen ever so slightly. Inhale to the front, and then we'll exhale over to the left. We'll take that 3 more times. Go ahead at your own pace. Use your breath. Exhale to deepen the twist. Find a little more rotation in the spine. Inhale to come out, and then exhale, move on to the other side. Your breath, your pace. Feel that lovely flowing movement. Finding the rhythm of your body, your breath. And when you're ready, we're going to make one more rotation here as we end on the left side. And then come back to center. Pause for a moment in center. Find your nice and tallest spine. And from here, we're going to start to fold forward from the hips. So let's start to fold. Walk the hands over that front left shin. Maybe you only come forward a couple of inches. Maybe you lower onto the forearms. Or maybe you drape all the way down. Just allow the head and the neck to feel heavy. Let's take a nice deep breath here. Feel the shoulders widen across the back body. And then exhale. Let's take another one like that. Exhale, release it all out. Even feel that low back expand. One last breath. Let's go ahead and walk ourselves back up. Back to our nice upright position. Switching the legs out. So now the right shin is in front of the left. Checking our alignment so that we aren't on one side more than the other. You could also have a support underneath your knees if you find that they're lifted quite high, or you could be on top of a folded blanket to lift your hips a little higher as well. As we're in this position, again, we're going to take some twists and see how that feels, starting with the left side, right hand to the outside of the left knee. As we exhale, twist, inhale, come through center. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Give it a little push as we look behind the right shoulder. Are you deepening in your twists now? Do you feel some of that movement improving into your spine? I do. I feel like every little motion, I'm feeling it more into my spine, even my shoulders, all the way up into my neck. And we'll take a couple of more rounds here. Exhale, using that space as we create with the inhale. And then on the exhale, finding a little more movement. Last round. And then we're going to end it over on the right side, taking our very last twist. And then return back to center, nice and tall. As we did before, we're going to walk the hands forward, maybe coming forward a couple of inches. Maybe we drape the torso all the way down. But even more important than how far we lower to the earth, I want you to feel the breath. Inhale, send it down the spine all the way to the base of the tailbone. Expand through the ribs. Exhale, release it out. Inhale, expand. Exhale, release. Feel yourself deepen into the pose. Inhale. Exhale, release. On the next inhale, we'll go ahead and walk our hands back up so that we're in an upright position. Staying at the center of your mat, let's extend that left leg out long. Maybe adjust yourself so that you stay on your mat. And then bring that right heel or the right sole of the foot to the inside of the left inner thigh. From here, we're going to take a fold. And instead of going directly over the top of that left leg to start with, we're actually going to stay aligned in the center and start to walk our hands out. Again, we don't need to go very far. You could also have a bolster or a couple of blocks underneath your forearms to bring the earth a little higher to make things easier. If the earth is closer to you, it's easier. If we can reach things, it's so much better, especially when we're just getting started. And we want this to be accessible so that we're not just holding our breath and trying to force things to happen. We want our body to welcome these movements. So we'll stay in this position for about 3 more breaths. Wonderful. Really warming up the body now, starting to feel it into the back body, the back of the legs. We're going to shift. We are going to go for that hamstring stretch on the back of the left leg. You may need to shift your tailbone a little bit so that you can face the top of that left leg. Start by sitting up nice and tall and then just slowly walk your hands forward. Try to keep the back straight as you do so. At some point you will feel some rounding in the back, but the straighter you keep the back, the more you feel like you're trying to create an arch in the back. You're going to feel that into the back of that left hamstring, the whole back line of that left leg. So wherever you're at, let's just breathe. Breathe through it. That is the hardest part. You may find yourself clenching in the face or other parts of the body, but we need to relax. We need to release and give ourselves a moment to find ease within the pose. And let's go ahead and walk the hands up. These aren't very long holds today. These are poses to get yourself moving and grooving. Let's bring the feet in. We'll go ahead and take a couple of windshield wipers. Get some movement into the hips. When you're ready, we're going to take that on the opposite side by extending the right leg out long. And we'll draw the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. From here, again, we're going to start by a more neutral position by just folding forward. This will be more into the hips versus the back of that right leg. But it just gives us something to ease into. When you're ready, we're going to walk it back up. This time we're going for it, and we're going to shift. Feel like you're facing over the top of that right leg. Keep your back straight. Aim for a nice stretch into the back of that right hamstring. And then maybe just start by lowering a couple of inches. Continue to breathe. When these poses get intense, we tend to hold our breath. Maybe even adding a little swaying into it. That's okay. Sway with the rhythm of the body and the breath. Sometimes a little movement instead of the constant force into the stretch will actually give us a little more room, a little wiggle room. So if it feels good, wiggle. Sometimes I even notice when my eyes are closed, I have a tendency to just sway into the movement. And when you're ready, let's walk ourselves back to an upright position. We'll bring both of the feet in. Again, taking those windshield wipers, giving our hips some love, knowing that we're doing some pretty intense stretches. And then we'll come onto all fours for a tabletop position. If this is a sequence for aches and pains, you have to have some cat and cow. So let's start in tabletop. And use your own breath, your own timing. You do not have to follow mine. But we can start with an inhale, allow the belly to drop, come into cow, maybe gaze up, and then exhale. Start with the tailbone, tucking the tailbone. Allow the head, neck, and shoulders to follow as they release down to the mat. And then just continue to take those inhales and exhales at your own pace. Maybe you start to play with the movement of your cat and cow. Maybe you feel like you need to stretch at a diagonal, shifting the hips back to the right, maybe back to the left. Maybe you take a few barrel rolls. As we inhale and exhale, we're just waking up the body, trying to clear out that tightness that usually finds us. And when you're ready, we'll come back to stillness. From here, let's go ahead and tuck the toes, come into a downward dog position. And then from downward dog, we'll step that left foot forward, bring it to the outside of the left hand. You can certainly keep the back knee lifted if you like, or you can lower it all the way down for lizard pose. Lizard pose, there's many variations. You can stay high, or you can come down onto your forearms. This can be quite deep into the left hip. So again, the blocks. If you have blocks, they can bring your forearms a little bit higher. You can find that happy middle ground in your lizard position. We'll hold here for 3 breaths. If you want to wiggle it out and maybe rock back and forth in your lizard pose, you may enjoy that as well. From lizard, if you were down on your forearms, let's lift up onto your hands, and we're going to shift back, coming into half splits. So we're going to have to walk that left foot in between the hands, and then keep the back hip aligned over the right knee. We'll start to straighten that left leg. Now, I've noticed with my half splits, if I keep a micro bend in the knee, I feel a lot more into the back of that left hamstring, even down into my calf. That micro bend for me has really given me a lot more improvement into my hamstrings versus a fully straight leg. Now, if you are hypermobile, you may notice the same issue, But wherever you're at, play around with the shape of the left leg so that you're feeling something back there. Drive the left heel down into the mat. And maybe again, we start to move the hips, just wiggling them from left to right. No real rule book here. We are just going for a feeling. We want to feel the back of that left hamstring stretching, and we want to enjoy it. We want to enjoy our practice. Our body needs this movement. Our hamstrings are spent in that sitting position a lot. They need to lengthen. Wonderful. From here, let's go ahead and bend that left knee. We're going to take it into our half pigeon. So bending the left knee, we're going to set the shin down, extend the right leg out long, adjust your left shin so that it's at the angle that's good for you and good for this knee so that you're not feeling any pain. And go ahead and settle into your half swan. You can certainly sit up high. I love sitting up high so I feel more into my left hip, but that's where I want to feel it and send my intention. If you like to drape your torso forward and you feel more as you come down onto the mat, then by all means, that's where you should be. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And when you're ready, let's take those hands, press them firmly into the mat. We're going to push that left foot back, stepping into a downward facing dog. Taking our lizard pose onto the right side, we'll step that right foot forward, bring it to the outside of the right hand, lower the left knee or keep it lifted, and come into lizard on the right side. So the hands can stay down, or I should say the hands can stay pressed firmly into the mat and the torso can stay up higher. Or if you want, you can also lower onto the forearms or a couple of blocks, depending on your body positioning today. Left to right side could feel very different, so it depends on what is working for you today. You may notice I have an extra pad on my mat. I have had some knee issues, so we're just working with a little bit more tenderness into that left knee for my personal care. Couple of breaths here in your dragon pose. And actually, I should say lizard. If you hear me say dragon instead of lizard, it's because I teach a lot of yin. And in that class, this is called dragon. Rising up from your lizard, we're going to shift back and come into our half splits now on the right side. Bringing the right foot more to a center line position. And then again, starting to straighten. Maybe you have that micro bend in your right leg. Maybe you have it fully straight. But what we want is that nice feeling, that stretch along the back of the right leg. Keeping length in the back. Start to feel like you are, instead of tucking the tailbone, feel like you're trying to arch the back. You're not going to get a whole lot of arch out of it, not unless you have very, very loose hamstrings. But we're just working for that shape. Almost like you're just trying to stick your booty out, doing this hamstring stretch. And then when you're ready, go ahead and shift forward. We'll come into our half pigeon on the right side, shifting the right shin, changing the angle of the shin so it works for your body, and then staying upright or lowering down over the top of that right shin. Taking about 3 to 5 breaths here. Maybe again you find your wiggle. Notice how you feel that stretch along the front of the left hip. And when you're ready, we're going to spin around, draw that left leg back in, come to sit at the center of your mat, and we'll open up the legs for a wide-legged straddle. one of a challenging pose for most. You don't have to open up your legs very wide. You can also be seated up onto a folded blanket or a towel to give your hips a little bit more room as we start to bend from the hips. So if you are going for that really good stretch on the back of the legs, please keep your back nice and straight. So that might mean that you stay up very tall and you don't come forward at all. You may need a mirror or maybe film yourself so that you can see how much your back may be rounding. The more rounding you have in your back, the less stretch you're going to have into your hamstrings and into the back of the legs. So again, think of trying to actually arch the low back, although you're not going to get much of an arch here in this position, but it's that intention, almost like we were trying to stick the booty out, but we're seated down onto it. I hope that makes sense. I know sometimes these positions and listening to the anatomical explanations can get confusing, but when it comes down to it, we just want to look for, what are we feeling? Are you feeling it on the underside of your legs into the hamstrings? If so, you're probably doing it right. If you're forcing it and just trying to make your belly or your chest touch the floor, and you have a very exaggerated rounding into the back, you may need some adjustments and to come back and to evaluate your form through video or through a friend. Or comment below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or a message. Thank you. Wonderful. Let's rise up from that wide-legged straddle. You can use the hands to draw the legs in. And we'll come back onto our back, lowering on down for our happy baby pose. So draw the knees into the chest. Find a comfortable position on your mat. From here, we're going to open up the feet. Take a hold of the outside edge of the feet with the hands as we start to have a nice 90-degree bend angle in both of the knees, and take our happy baby. Happy baby is pretty deep into the hips as well, and also it can be a challenge just to reach your feet. So if you cannot reach the feet all the way, to the outside of the feet, you can also take a hold of the shins or take the hands to the back of the thighs and just draw the knees in towards the armpits. So instead of being down and towards the center line of the body, you're going to angle the knees more at a diagonal, so towards the outside of the armpits or towards the shoulders. Wherever you're at, if you do have the outside edge of your feet, then your elbows should be on the inside of the knees. No matter what your hand position is, you should keep drawing the knees down and then also have that tailbone, whether it's glued to the earth or not. We want to feel it drawing towards the earth. And eventually, it will get closer and closer to the mat. Most of us, in the effort to reach our feet, tend to get some rounding into the back. I'll exaggerate that. We're probably lifting up like this so that we can reach our feet. If you're there, you may also want to have a strap, or again, start here by having the hands behind the thighs. We'll exhale, come out of that happy baby pose, and we'll close out our practice with a reclined twist. So on your back, we'll take the knees, drop them both over towards the left, and the right hand can come out beside you, either into a straight T shape or maybe into a cactus if you're like me and you have limited room. And then the left arm can come out straight as well. Gaze can certainly come to look across at the right hand. And you can also take the left hand to the outside of that right thigh if you'd like a little weight, a little pressure. On the next inhale, we'll go ahead and return to our back, and we'll take the twist over towards the right, dropping both of the knees over, extending that left arm out, or maybe keeping it in a cactus shape, and enjoying this gentle twist on the left side, feeling it into the outside of that left hip. We've had some hip work today. We kept some movement in the body. We moved through the spine. We allowed ourselves to just kind of feel and take a little checklist of how we are doing today. When you're ready, let's just extend the legs out long. We'll close with the Shavasana for the last minute of class. Always important to take our resting position after we've had a nice flow, and just to reconnect with the body and to observe how we feel without judgment. Where do we feel? Are we warm? Are we tingling? Is the energy moving through the body? Enjoy the breath that gives us life and allows us to move through class as we do. Every time we come onto our mat, we're making a wonderful decision to improve our health, our bodies, our minds. When you're ready, you can go ahead and stretch out the feet, point and flex the feet. Maybe start to curl the fingertips in, make a little fist, and wake up the body. Just a short little rest today. We'll go ahead and roll onto our side and come into an easy sit position with the legs crossed in front of us. Inhale, stretch the arms, reach them up to the sky. Bring the hands down through heart center as we close our practice together. I hope you enjoyed that quick little warm up to get your day going or just to feel better during your day at any time. If you like this, please go ahead and leave a comment below. Hit subscribe. There are new yoga practices every single week. You'll find them on Sundays on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.